Chapter 7, Part B. You smoke because your subconscious mind has fallen for the phobia known as the nicotine trick. Your body is just the stooge. It's your mind that has smoked all those cigarettes because it's been anxious and frightened. Interestingly, nicotine isn't the only drug that can produce physical sensations that are usually caused by emotions. Many other drugs do the same thing. In fact, some are developed specifically for this purpose. Take an example: Viagra, the drug that is used to treat impotence. Now, we all know what happens to a man physically when he's sexually aroused. But imagine this. Let's say a man isn't sexually aroused, but someone gives him a Viagra tablet without him knowing it. A few minutes later, he has the physical symptoms of sexual arousal. What happens inside his head as a result? If you're a man, maybe you're shrugging and pretending you don't know, but I guarantee most women can guess the answer easily enough. Research suggests that in most cases, the mind follows the cues sent by the body. I won't put it any more explicitly than that, except to say that we men don't need much encouragement to start thinking about sex. Can you see where I'm going with this? Smoking plays the same trick, but with fear instead of sexual arousal. Nicotine creates the physical sensation of anxiety artificially, and the mind is then tricked into reacting by making the mood match the sensation. Fake fear causes real fear because it implies threat and danger, and in the first few seconds after the first drag of a cigarette, the temporary and partial reduction in the synthetic chemical component of that fear feels like the relief you'd get as a result of escaping from a dangerous or stressful situation. Some experts describe the feeling of nicotine withdrawal symptoms as an itch or even a hunger for nicotine, but this is absolutely wrong. By definition, an itch is always irritating. By definition, hunger always cries out to be satisfied. The feeling of tension caused by nicotine does neither of these things unless your brain is in the grip of the nicotine trick. As I mentioned earlier, millions of non-smokers experience nicotine withdrawal symptoms throughout their entire lives without even noticing it, let alone having any desire to smoke. What about all the bar staff, restaurant workers, and all those millions of non-smoking wives, husbands, girlfriends, employees? For this multitude of people, the only thing they notice is the irritation of breathing cigarette smoke and possibly the smell. But how often do you hear these non-smokers tell you that their bodies are craving nicotine or that they have an itch? Not often. If you think this is because they don't get enough nicotine, think again. It takes only a tiny amount of nicotine to cause that feeling of tension. This may seem like a subtle difference between this book and many others, but it's a crucial one. Provided you understand what keeps causing this feeling of tension, it represents neither an itch nor hunger. It represents absolutely nothing more than an artificial chemical feeling of tension caused by your body's delayed reaction to nicotine. That's all. The first time you smoked a cigarette, you developed this feeling, but your subconscious mind had no idea that smoking another cigarette would reduce it. It wasn't a physical itch or hunger then, any more than it needs to be now. By itself, it didn't make you want to do anything, which is why millions of people smoke one cigarette each year without bothering with a second. But smoking your second cigarette gave this sensation a false meaning, a meaning that has left it terrified of letting go of smoking. And until you remove this false meaning, your subconscious mind will keep telling you to smoke until the day you die. You can't escape from your phobia without absorbing the reasons why the fear is irrational. You may find it extremely frustrating that your subconscious brain keeps telling you to smoke, but you shouldn't be. Based on the information it has, it's actually doing exactly the right thing. Never forget that, in an emergency or a perceived emergency, your subconscious mind will automatically make you take the quickest possible route to safety or perceived safety. When you smoke a cigarette, it doesn't matter to your subconscious mind that the cigarette will create physical tension in an hour's time, because it will reduce it now. It's not a conscious thing, it's automatic, instinctive, you have no direct control over it. Consider this: I've already explained that if you stop smoking for as little as 2 days, the feeling of physical tension caused by nicotine will drop to the same level that is achieved by smoking a cigarette. Even better, it will continue to fall, whereas it will start to rise again if you use a cigarette to do the same thing. But if this is the case, why does your subconscious mind keep telling you to use a method of reducing the tension that will simply cause it all over again? The answer is infuriatingly simple. Even though smoking a cigarette is the least effective way of getting rid of the feeling of tension, it just happens to be the quickest. Do you think your subconscious mind would ever tell you to throw yourself off a tall building to certain death? Believe it or not, the answer is yes, if the situation seems desperate enough. For instance, if your subconscious mind had a choice between letting you burn to death or jump from a great height, it would tell you to take your chances with the fall. Why? The answer is again infuriatingly simple. It's quicker. Your subconscious mind will always try to choose the best or least bad option for you. When it tells you to smoke, that's what it thinks it's doing. It's responding the only way it knows to a completely unnatural sensation that has confused and frightened it. This is why, even when people have had legs amputated through smoking, their subconscious minds will keep telling them to smoke, because the wrong connections that drive their smoking will never, ever just disappear by themselves. It doesn't work like that, remember. A brand new, gleaming 747 jumbo jet will quite happily fly itself into the side of a mountain, killing everyone on board if the autopilot has been programmed with incorrect data. It won't know it's doing that because it has no intrinsic intelligence of its own, but it will still do it. That's why the autopilot on a 747 is checked and double-checked before takeoff. But if, as a pilot, you knew the autopilot was set incorrectly and you still insisted on engaging it, there would be only one word for the catastrophe that would follow: suicide. Don't ever forget that your subconscious mind is exactly like the autopilot I've just mentioned. It reacts to feelings, instincts, connections. Its reaction to smirking isn't based on an in-depth evaluation of the scientific facts, any more than our woman's phobia of dogs is based on a genuine assessment of how dangerous dogs are. It's based on how cigarettes feel, what they seem to do. But here's a sobering thought. If you know for a fact that your internal autopilot is doing something wrong, the responsibility for correcting it is yours. Fortunately, the rest of this book has been written with no other function than to make it easy for you to do exactly this. I'm going to talk you through it, step by step. I'm almost running out of different ways to repeat the central facts of the nicotine trick, but they're so crucially important that they need to be repeated and repeated and repeated. So let me just spell it out for you one more time. You smoke because the delayed feeling of physical tension caused by nicotine reminds your subconscious mind of fear, and because smoking, while causing this sensation all over again, briefly reduces it first. But the sensation is artificial, chemical, synthetic, so it doesn't mean anything. It's a chemical reaction, nothing more. It has no strength by itself. You smoke not because of what this sensation does, but because of what it reminds your subconscious mind of: fear. Smoking is a phobia, not an addiction or a habit. It's an irrational, confused fear of the delayed reaction caused by nicotine. The truth is, the word addiction doesn't really mean anything by itself. The term is descriptive rather than explanatory. Gambling is addictive to some people, but there's no drug involved. Smoking is only addictive because of the phobia known as the nicotine trick. Another subtle mistake I've read in some books about smoking is that smoking partially relieves the nicotine withdrawal symptoms caused by the previous cigarette. But the word relieve implies that the feeling of tension caused by nicotine is painful or distressing in its own right. This isn't the case. The correct phrase is temporarily reduce, because the sensation by itself means nothing unless you give it permission to frighten you. Last week, I took a call from a young woman who attended a recent nicotine trick workshop. She called to tell me that she actually enjoyed feeling physically tense from nicotine for a few days after she stopped smoking. She almost wished it hadn't disappeared so quickly because the feeling of suddenly not being scared by it anymore was so amazing. This makes perfect sense. How can you possibly be scared of a physical sensation that you've had, to some degree or other, for every second of your entire smoking life? In every situation, good or bad, you've had this physical sensation shadowing you. Get it straight in your head. Cigarettes have hit you with their best shot, and you've still managed to carry on living your life. It doesn't take willpower to stop smoking once you understand the nicotine trick. It takes willpower to carry on smoking. In case you didn't realize it, your cage door is now half open. But even at this point, you're probably not quite ready to walk through it. That's fine. I haven't finished yet. The moment my subconscious mind finally realized that it no longer needed to hold on to the phobia known as the nicotine trick was the moment the key finally turned in the lock. I almost wish I could have that moment all over again, but I can't. Fortunately, you've still got that moment to look forward to, if you want it. When it happens, it will be absolutely amazing. It will be one of the most enjoyable things that will ever happen to you. Cigarettes will finally lose their power over you forever. The spell will be completely broken. In essence, your relationship with cigarettes is simple. It's a sadomasochistic affair, but one where any pleasure is purely a piece of self-deception, an illusion that is needed to mask the fear that really drives it. And any relationship based on fear is always going to end in tears. There's only ever one question: who's going to end it? Okay, you now know why you really smoke, but there's something else you need to know. You need to know how you've helped